Veteran on the Move, episode number 20. Welcome to Veteran on the Move, your pathfinder to freedom. If you're a transitioning veteran, an entrepreneur wannabe, or someone who's still stuck in that job trying to escape, this podcast is dedicated to your success. So welcome aboard, sit back, and enjoy the ride. Jarrett Homann is the founder and CEO of SoldierUP.net. SoldierUP.net is a revolutionary approach using crowdsourced solutions to empower the American veteran community to achieve their dreams of entrepreneurship. It's a society to veteran movement for entrepreneurship. SoldierUP.net is a website where individuals and organizations can efficiently and effectively raise their profiles, strengthen their brands, create goodwill, grow their customer base, as well as strengthen the U.S. and local economies by investing their time and expertise to help veterans in their entrepreneurship as they strive to find their new normal. All right, we're talking with Jarrett Homann, who is the founder and CEO of SoldierUP.net. Jarrett, thanks for being here today.
Sure, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Now, Jarrett, you're not actually a veteran, but you started essentially a big computer project, SoldierUP.net, that is aimed at helping veterans link up with organizations and individuals that are looking to help veterans. It's essentially like a huge knowledge base, if you will. Now, if you give us a little background on what you do in the world and how you actually came up with this idea of SoldierUP.net and how you got started.
So what I do in the world, as typically in the world, or
yeah, what's your day job?
Okay, well, I'm an internet entrepreneur, which is kind of almost like a freelance, self-employed person. My background and what I have been doing for a living is business development in customer acquisition and management consulting and those sort of things. So I do that to sustain myself. I've been trying to get away from that more and more and get more into the internet entrepreneurship full time. But, you have to pay bills, so you still got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I understand it is there was a startup weekend in Kansas City and you wanted to participate and you had to come up with an idea.
Yeah, so I belong to several groups, and one of the groups I belong to is a meetup group with developers. And I had a friend that actually gave me his ticket at the last minute because he was going to Startup Weekend with his friend in San Diego, California, and because they were sold out here. And so he gave me his ticket at the last minute, and I didn't have an idea, and I had to come up with an idea within a week. So I accepted the ticket, and I was starting to think about all week what we were going to do. And at the last minute, because that week that we were having the startup weekend here was November 15th. So that was right after Veterans Day and the election. It was in 2012, so that we had the election. And so, yeah, it just hit me at the last minute that all this came together and called it SoldierUP.net.
And I remember from talking to you before, you were in line, you potentially got at the end of the line and you had to get up to the microphone and do a quick pitch on day one of what your idea was. And you got in at the end of the line with like 60 some people just so you could have enough time to come up with something. You pretty much just pieced it together in your mind, about 2 or 3 people at the mic before it finally came together and you were able to give your pitch, right?
Yeah, that was kind of you talk about winging it. That was winging it on steroids. I got towards the back of the line, and I figured I could hear the people in front of me pitching, and that might jar some ideas. And I loosely had just some loose things floating around about because we voted on Monday, so you got a sticker for voting, and you got a free sub sandwich from Subway if you came in with your I voted sticker. So I was looking at that incentivization of doing your duty, and then the Veterans Day, and so I was thinking of vets, and then. Wednesday there was a talk about entrepreneurship can be heroes, and this was Wednesday, the day after Veterans Day, which was Tuesday, and so I was thinking heroes helping heroes and the whole duty thing, and it all just came to me literally while I was in line because I was trying to figure out, okay, how do you make a business proposition out of this? What's going to be your value proposition, and how are you going to monetize it, and how are you going to make a business out of it? And literally that came to me while I was in line. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, for anyone that's never participated in a startup weekend, what happened after that? What was the course of the rest of the weekend, and how SoldierUp.net came together?
So after you get up on Friday, you pitch, and then you have people that want to vote on your presentation. It's a 1.5 minute presentation, so you got to make sense in 1.5 minutes. I just kind of stumbled through it, but then they write down your highlights on a big piece of paper. You tape it on the wall. You go stand in front of your highlights. People walk around and ask you more questions, and then they vote. And then I think it was a top 14 or 15 out of I think there was a total of about 80 pitches got to be picked to be worked on Saturday and then Sunday, and then you gave your final presentation Sunday night and for a 5-minute presentation. And so I had 2 developers that came up and said, "Hey, we like your idea. We'd like to be on your team." And then a few other people expressed interest. They voted for it, and so we were one of them that got picked to build.
And so you just put a team together behind the idea, and you're off and running.
And you're off and running. Yeah, you got to get the right mix of people. You got to have a developer because you got to have some sort of website. It has to be fully functional, but it has to, at least it could be static, but it has to look like a website enough to where they can get the concept, because it is a game and you're trying to win. So you have to have somewhat of a business plan, marketing strategy, and then you have to figure out how you're going to make money and support the company as well. So that's kind of, you want to get those parts of the puzzle. I'm more the business development side. Not so much the developer like tech side. So I needed the people that were strong in my weaknesses. So the 2 tech developers really helped balance out, my chances there.
Okay. So after the startup weekend, you've got your team together, and you got the idea. How long ago was that? That was at least a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years.
Okay. So this November will be 2 years. And you're just about to release the beta version of SoldierUp.net. So where are you at now? And you got to explain to us what SoldierUp.net is going to do for us.
All right. So what is SoldierUp.net? Basically, 2 things happen. It's a place where the veteran community, that's the expanded veteran community, not just the 30 million or so vets, but their spouses, qualified ex-spouses, caretakers, siblings, kids, children, so it's about 149 million people. It's about $1.2 trillion in annual purchasing power. And we deem it to be fiercely loyal and proud segment demographic. So we're helping the whole, because we think when one person serves, the whole family serves, because they all have to, sacrifice. So we wanted to expand it to the greater community. We're going to start, of course, in the early stages, mainly just the vets themselves, but we want to expand it to the greater community very quickly. And it's a place where you can go and basically get the things you need, just like I was talking about Startup Weekend, to get a business plan, a marketing plan, logo, all the stuff that you need for a business. So you can go to an SBA and get a VA backed loan or SBA backed loan and actually start a business. So we're actually hoping to get as many veterans that want to be entrepreneurs as possible the actual documentation that they need to go secure the funding that they need to get a loan, because no one does that right now. You can go to SCORE or SBA and you can build your own business plan and build your own marketing plan. But we find that a lot of people get stopped right there, because if you don't have that acumen, or don't have that knowledge base, even with the knowledge base, I'm sure you're aware of, is hard enough to do a business plan, a marketing plan, and then go to a bank and try to get funding. But if you don't have that, it's just overwhelming. So we figured if we can crowdsource that, and then we had to have motivation for the people that are helping, the people that do have those skill sets to help, all the designers and copywriters and proofreaders and tech people that can build websites. So we wanted to give them a badge of service, kind of like the I voted sticker, where they can say how many hours of service that they have given to the veteran community. And that would give them some branding. And hopefully they'll get like a thank you note or blog that they could put on their website. So that helps them grow their business. So by giving back to the veterans, and the veterans help them, giving them credit for their service to them, can grow their business. It's a win-win situation, and it's a symbiotic situation, because we also found that a lot of veterans are kind of weary and tired about feeling that the handouts and like their need someone to give them something. A lot of people want to just focus on what they can do, and not necessarily feel like they have to go into another charitable situation. And so we wanted to make sure this doesn't feel like a charitable situation. It's actually a agreement between two sides of the equation, to where they're going to help each other and make each other stronger by focusing on each other's strengths, instead of trying to make it a one-sided or a unilateral situation.
And so SoldierUP.net is really a sophisticated computer program, more like a centralized location or a centralized repository, where you have on one side of the database individuals and businesses, companies and organizations that are standing by to help veterans that want to start a business. And on the other side of it, you had the veterans that are looking for help. And it must be some pretty, you guys have been working on it for almost 2 years now. It must be a pretty sophisticated system that you guys have put together, almost like an eHarmony or a Match.com, match the veteran to the people who have the skill sets that the veteran needs help with.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a multi-dimensional site where you have your InMail, where you can communicate back and forth to collaborate on projects. Not only the veteran to the people that are helping, but also the helpers have to collaborate with each other. So when you have a designer designing a website, you have to have a developer building the website. They have to be able to communicate with each other so they can, get the project done. And so it was a lot bigger as we went into it, than we originally thought. And so even your minimum viable product is pretty daunting. So I think that's part of the reason why it took us a while. Also, people that are building this, we're doing this, everyone still has day jobs. And so this is on top of their day jobs. So it's a lot of moving parts, and we're trying to whittle it down as basic as possible, at least at the beginning, and then we can add on stuff as we get going and get some revenue.
And have you guys launched the beta version? Is it actually released now? It's just sitting there, or are you getting ready to launch it?
We're getting ready to launch it. We stood it up, so it's up, but it's not open to the public.
So SoldierUP.net is up and running, and you can go there and look around, but you can't actually get into the system yet.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, it's beta.soldierup.net. Yeah. So, and because it's not, we're still adding content, and we're still tweaking some of the in-mail features and some of the collaboration features. So we're still, a couple weeks out, but yeah, definitely we're getting very, very close. Once we stood it up, it was kind of a milestone there. And so now we're just trying to make it more functional. You want to make sure that it has 2 arms, 2 legs, and everything before you actually invite everyone in.
And has anybody been invited in on the veteran or the individual organization side yet?
Not yet. Right now, we've created a couple accounts just to do the run-throughs and create a punch list of things that we need to be done or need to be done. And then we're going to invite some early adopters in, knowing that it's beta and there could be some issues, but we're going to invite them in without charging them anything, just for giving us feedback and making it a little smoother before we open it up.
All right. So let's say I'm a veteran and I go to SoldierUP.net here in the near future and I establish my account and I'm looking to start a business. Walk me through the process and what SoldierUP.net is going to do for me, the veteran.
So what you would do first is set up a profile like you would on LinkedIn or Twitter or any other, Facebook or any other site of that nature. And then you would you want to describe your project and maybe just have a little backstory about yourself and why you're doing it and your motivation behind it, because the people that have the skill sets that are wanting to help, they have to choose who they want to help. So it is kind of just like Facebook or whatever. You want to make your profile kind of attractive for people to pick you, because it's great to have a lot of people wanting to help you, and then you get to pick which helpers you let on onto your team. So if you have a design need and you have 4 designers, it's nice to be able to pick between 4 designers than if you don't have any designers and you're waiting for someone to offer to help you. So we're going to right now we're working on some tutorials to help people walk through this process. Hopefully we'll have enough people on both sides of the equation to where everyone can get all the help they need right away, and they don't have to sit and wait for someone. But that's a tricky thing. So there's a lot of things that we're crossing our fingers on and hoping that it just works like as smooth as we want. But we have some other options if we do have people that are needing help that aren't getting responses. Maybe we can have some resources and assets for them to get some tutorials, maybe person to person tutorials or something.
And have on the other side of the fence, have you socialized the idea with businesses and organizations, those types of people that actually be offering the services?
Yeah, so there's on the motivation on that side, there's the goodwill, the part that a lot of businesses are purchasing goodwill by going out into this community and actually helping. The other part is they get to grow their brand, and they get to get some content for their own personal use by being involved in something like this. And everyone's given us positive feedback on that. So it looks like everybody has the right incentives and the right motivation on both sides. So I know that one of the things we wanted to do at first was to make this totally free for the veterans. But what we found after talking to some people in that space is that if people don't have skin in the game, then they are more likely to not take it serious and just use up some resources and never try, and that would be a bad experience for everyone involved. So the reason why we're having a nominal charge, which we haven't settled on a fee yet, is because we feel it's absolutely necessary to vet the veterans to make sure that the people that are there are serious about starting a business. And so we figure if they have some skin in the game, then that would solve that issue.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I know probably some of the same organizations that you're referring to that are in that space, that one of the frustrations is they would love to offer this stuff to veterans for free, but unfortunately maybe the veteran isn't really sure what they're looking to do or what they want when they sign up for these programs, and then they just don't show up because they don't have any skin in the game. So I think that's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, and we think so too. We're hoping that'll be received well on that side of the equation. I think it will be. There's always going to be some pushback, because everyone has a sense of entitlement. But we have to protect the veterans, and we have to protect the people that are offering to put their time, energy, and effort into helping as well.
Right, because you don't want those people showing up willing to taking time out of their busy days offering services, and then the guy doesn't show up. So
yeah, that's one of my biggest fears is someone takes 10 hours out of their day and gives someone a logo, and then they turn around and say, I was just joking, I'm not going to do it. And then that person that gave the logo says, I quit.
Yeah, I imagine no matter what you do, that's probably going to happen once in a while. But if you can minimize it, then obviously that's the way to go.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that everyone, does it in the right spirit, and everyone kind of, whenever you're collaborating and dealing with people, that's a whole dynamic, even outside of the veteran thing, just collaboration in general with other people. Whenever you're involving other people working together, you have certain dynamics you have to manage, and so we're kind of aware of that, and hopefully everyone be in the right frame of mind, and we can minimize some of the potential bad experiences, and just really create a really good vibe and a really good group of people that are helping each other.
Now, speaking of vetting the veteran, how is it you're going to vet them in a way that how are you going to know they're a veteran to begin with? Is that part of the sign up process?
Well, we were going to do that, and we might do that later on, but because of our minimum viable product, getting this to market and starting, we're actually going to try to do this on on just an honor system, so we figure, okay, if somebody did impersonate a veteran, shame on them, but instead of trying to verify every DD 214 as we go on the beginning, being limited with resources and stuff, we figured that we'll start out trying not to have to go there. And then hopefully the veterans can vet themselves. Can police themselves as well, because as these veterans are talking to each other, someone might have a landscaping company in Georgia, someone might have a landscaping company in Missouri, and if they talk to each other and start asking questions, what unit and what branch, and realize, hey, this guy's he doesn't know the right answers, then maybe they can get found out that way. We're going to try to do it on the honor system at the beginning, which is kind of make it a little bit a point of concern, but if we have to, we'll move to a DD-14 verification process.
Okay. Now, do you have any projections or estimates on numbers and volume of people we're talking about? Have you even looked at that yet?
Well, yeah, we looked at a few of them. As far as the amount of entrepreneurs and businesses, they're in the millions, and veterans, like we said, there's 149 million in the veteran community. That and I got this off of the veteran-owned business website. I don't know how many of the veterans actually want to be entrepreneurs, but we just had to kind of derive some guesstimates from, how many of the general population wants to be entrepreneurs. We think it's going to be a little higher with the veterans, especially in some fields, because a lot of military spouses, while their spouses are on deployment, they're moving around a lot, so they don't really have long-term jobs because of their movement. So we're hoping that a lot of them will turn to web-based businesses, and with the web-based businesses, it doesn't necessarily matter as much about moving around and location. So as I go to other sites that are dealing with veterpreneurs and entrepreneurship in the veteran space, there seems to be a lot of those, and also veteran-owned businesses. There's thousands and thousands of them. So we think there's going to be a sufficient number, but what we're looking for is all those people who have a dream or an idea, but what's stopping them is getting all the documents together. There's a lot of people. I have a friend of mine who's a chef, and they just like cooking. What they don't like is the bookkeeping and all the other paperwork that comes with it, and that's stopping them from opening up their own restaurant. So I'm thinking a lot of people, a lot of veterans, if they had the business plan and the marketing plan and everything there, they could walk in and try to the SBA and get a loan, but they just don't get all those documents together. And if we could do that for them, then I think that's going to bring a lot more people to entrepreneurship that normally stop just at their dream.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would say the biggest obstacle that you run into when you're looking at starting a business is, we'll put a business plan together and then come back to me. And you're like, oh man. Yeah. Talk about painful. But, well, one of the statistics that I saw that the Kauffman Foundation had put out in some study was 45% of veterans start their own business or some type of entrepreneur, and veteran-owned businesses are 35% more likely to have success. So you're talking veteran numbers and everything, and that's one of the reasons why entrepreneurship and especially trying to get veterans to go into the world of entrepreneurship is such a popular thing right now, because they do actually make good entrepreneurs, and they're much more likely to succeed if they decide to become an entrepreneur. And frankly, let's face it, there's a lot of us that just aren't really employable.
Well, yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, and that happens even outside the veteran community with entrepreneurs. One of the things I was reading yesterday is, if you can't find your dream job, then go create it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
especially the older you get, I think it might even be more so. But at some point, you want to be calling the shots, and you want to be dictating your own schedule and your own time. And really, the only way to do that is to get out there and do something on your own.
Yeah, and we also, with some of the organizations we talked with inside the veteran community, veterans are, I guess, as part of their military training, to be self-sufficient, and as far as they're self-determined, and to because I guess in battle you have to, or at least in the military, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to go out there and prove yourself. It's not something that you can just glide through. And so we find that that's going to also help make them better entrepreneurs, because a lot of them have faced such tough obstacles in the past, whether it's just deployment after deployment, moving around, or actually being in battle. So what would scare the average person as far as risk taking in entrepreneurship, we feel that veterans are more apt to be able to handle that with less stress than maybe some non-veteran.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the amount of life experiences that get packed into sometimes just a 4-year first term enlistment. There's just almost a time compression that takes place, and your typical veteran has lived so much and experienced so much in that short 4 years, compared to maybe just what they would have experienced if they were, working down the street at the Walmart or whatever. But so you do have a lot of life experience, or most veterans do have a lot of life experience to draw off of when in the interest of being a business guy. And the other thing about a lot of veterans I talk to that have started their own businesses or entrepreneurs is another thing you got to learn when you're in the military. You're surrounded by tons of people all the time. I mean, you're sleeping in tents in Iraq or Afghanistan with a bunch of other guys, or you're sleeping out in the woods or the desert. And there's just a lot of, I have to get along with people that you learn after being in the military for a few years. And, those conditions are not necessarily easy. And when you get into the business world, it can help translate. It's easier for some veterans to build relationships and socialize certain things because of that, I've got to figure out how to get along and make things work.
Wow, that's very reassuring to hear you say that, because as we spoke earlier on the collaboration on the website, they're going to be collaborating with people that they just met, and those people are going to try to help them. So they have to be able to get their concept and their vision and put it into a business plan or a marketing plan. And so that reassures me that maybe that'll be a little smoother collaboration than what are anticipating.
Oh yeah, I think so for the most part. The one thing that is new to a lot of veterans is how the business world works. But veterans aren't completely ignorant to that process. I mean, there's still money and budgets and funding and acquisitions and balancing the unit funds and taking care of money and that kind of stuff. You're not actually in the business of making money, but you are in the business of managing it and asking for it to go do things. So it's not completely foreign concept. And as far as the getting along thing, I mean, face it, there are some of us veterans out there that may not get along with very many people. But when they really want to make something happen and they really want to make some connections with people in the business community, they're good at it, because I mean, even just the fact that most military folks move around a lot, they have to start their network of friends and comrades they're working with. They have to start over sometimes almost every 3 years. And so you get used to making new friends and making new acquaintances and making a new network every few years and then moving on again. So, the idea of starting over or starting something from scratch is a fairly common concept to most veterans.
Wow, that's great to hear. I mean, you're getting me excited there, because I think that's going to really bode well for this project.
Well, I'm really excited about SoldierUP.net, and if you're listening and you want to check out the website, you can go to SoldierUP.net. Sometime in the month of August, it should be opened up for people to start establishing accounts, correct?
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for by the end of the month. If not, just be patient, give it a week or two. You can also go to SoldierUP.info, and we'll be posting updates on that if there's any more delays or any more changes to the schedule.
Okay, well, that's great. And Jarrett, I'll give you the last word. Any last word for the veterans out there and in regards to SoldierUP.net?
Yeah, we want everyone, like I say, in the greater community to feel free to come and start their dream. We're going to really try to make it as smooth as possible, and we think that we're going to really have a great community. So even though you're a veteran and you don't want to necessarily start your own dream, you feel free to come and help your fellow veterans work on theirs. No matter what your skill is, it doesn't have to be a master skill in copywriting or whatever. You can help anyone just by looking over their plans, or maybe editing or looking over what they already have, or also just by giving them a little bit of encouragement. And so the community is going to be for everyone who just wants to help and support each other and help any way they can. So if you have a skill at all, no matter how small it is, there's probably going to be a place for you there.
All right, Jared, I really appreciate you being here and sharing SoldierUP.net, and good on you and all the other members of your team doing this and putting together such a great project to help veterans get started in the world of entrepreneurship.
Well, thank you, Joe. Thanks for having us.
All right, Jared. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Veteran on the Move, your pathfinder to freedom. If you like the show, leave us a review on iTunes. Reviews are always greatly appreciated. So until next time, this veteran is Oscar Mike.